Hey kids, it's the Mr. Fly here, hope you're well. Out and about on another bike review, really pleased. It's another Kawasaki, so you find me in Abingdon. Morning, sir. And today I'm on a bike that caused a great stir when it was launched back in, I think it was November at the Birmingham bike show I first saw it, the Kawasaki Z900RS. It's an amazing looking machine. It's got a sort of retro style about it, harps back to the Z1 of the 1970s, and it's received rave reviews, so really looking forward to riding this bike. So stick around, stay tuned, I'll tell you what I think of it. So straight away, having ridden the bike for all of about 3 minutes, I can tell you I love this bike. It's really, really beautiful in every respect. It's what surprised me about it, it looks a big old chunky beast, but in fact it's really lightweight feeling. It's nice and flickable. In my mind I've got it kind of, I'm comparing it with the Triumph Bonnevilles, because it's that sort of a bike, if you like, and those bikes I like very much indeed, if you've seen any of my other reviews. But one thing that they can't be accused of is being particularly light, whereas this thing just feels light and agile in comparison. It sounds beautiful as well. Lovely smooth engine, incredibly good mirrors, and frankly I want one. It's a lovely bike, this. Anyway, let's not get too effusive. Let's try and remain objective. Let's go through the practical parts while we're on this faster road. So, wind protection. It's a naked bike, so there is no wind protection. So, I've got a lot of wind at the moment hitting me square in the shoulders, but it's not turbulent air. It's nice and smooth. It's no problem. You know, I'm used to riding naked bikes, and I just don't find it an issue. It only really becomes an issue if you're doing over, say, 80 miles an hour, which is going to be rare in the UK if you want to stay legal. In fact, it ain't going to happen. So yeah, wind protection, there isn't any, it's a naked bike. What you're looking at when you're riding the bike, well, you're looking at this lovely instrument cluster. It's kind of old school with the speedo and the rev counter, as you'd like, and these are sort of bullet shaped at the front. They look really nice and streamlined. But in the centre there, you've got a little LCD display that not only has a proper fuel gauge, I'm really pleased to see, but also a temperature gauge. It's got a gear position indicator, and then there are all sorts of trip type items you can cycle through using the switch gear over here on the left. You know, all the usual thing, giving you range, miles per gallon, all that sort of stuff. So really like the instrument cluster. The mirrors on here are just brilliant. They're massive, they look a bit Mickey Mouse, but they are solid as a rock. And I don't know if you can see the same view. You're not seeing quite the same view out of this right mirror, for example, but I can't see my shoulder at all in that mirror. All I'm seeing is the traffic behind me, as indeed you should do, so they work lovely. Right, what I need to do is get myself off this bit of dual carriageway so I can just experience the handling a little bit more on some more twisty roads. The engine on this is beautifully smooth, it sounds great. Let's just get in front of this white vehicle, white van I should say. So overtaking is never going to be an issue on this bike. Listen to this. It just sounds brilliant. Okay, I think this is my exit coming up. Brakes seem lovely on it. Front brake works really nicely. Let's just try the back. Back brake's not much there, but that's no different to any other bike really. And when I stop, my feet, I'm on the balls of my feet. I'm not tippy-toe, but it feels nice and light, and you know, it just doesn't feel intimidating. It's not one of those bikes that you feel you're going to drop when you stop, which really does build your confidence. I like that. Gearbox is beautiful and positive on it, no doubt when you're in gear. Oh, tunnel. Yeah, it's got to be done. Turning into a bit of a hooligan. Wow, this is a lovely bike. I love the way it delivers its power, entirely predictable, lovely and smooth, loads of shove. They've really done a top job of repackaging this, because this bike is very much based on the Z900, which is a bike that's, you know, a modern day naked with the sort of transformer look, not an old school retro like this. Hope I'm coming the right way. This is not an area I know very well. I've only been down here once before in my life, and that was when I rode the Z1000SX a few weeks back. Anyway, practical things then. So seating position, haven't talked about that. Well, it's nice, the seating position. I'm upright, my arms are outstretched, quite wide handlebars. My knees are at slightly just less than 90 degrees, so you don't feel like you're sitting on an armchair. It's got a slightly more sporty position than, say, the Triumph Bonneville. It feels more like my Street Triple than it does a Bonneville. The seat itself is lovely and padded, feels nice and comfy, and when I do the walk around I'll show you, it's got a nice look about it as well. They've done it with some sort of rib stitching, which is very much in keeping with the bike. Nice ride quality. This is a bumpy old road, but the suspension is set just in that Goldilocks zone as far as I'm concerned. Just not too hard, not too soft. Alrighty, I'm going to come back in a minute and do it left down there, because that's the way I want to go, but I know from last time up here there's a good spot to do a walk around, so let's just pull over up here. I'll show you around the bike and talk you through the spec. Brilliant turning circle on this, and at slow speeds like this, just no problem at all. Really easy bike to ride, like that a lot. Alrighty, neutral's easy to find. Little short stand, but that works. There we go. Right, here we have it, the Kawasaki Z900RS. Lovely looking machine, I think you'd agree. This one, of course, in the black, it comes in like a candy red as well, that apes more the old Z1 and is probably the more popular bike. But anyway, let me get the other camera out and I'll talk you through the spec in the usual way. Okay, here we go then. Let's get that camera rolling. Hopefully you can see that, the Kawasaki Z900RS then. So let's go through the spec numbers just for completeness. So it's a 948cc liquid cooled inline 4 engine, so lovely and buttery smooth. You can see it's got this massive radiator on there. That's perhaps not implemented in quite such a good way as the Triumphs do, but then it being a 4-cylinder bike, it's got a wide old engine, so you can get away with a slightly wider radiator on there, but beautifully smooth, as I repeatedly say. Power wise, 109.4 bhp at 8,500 rpm. Torque, 98.5 newton meters at 6,500 rpm. That's 72.6 foot-pound in the old school. Doesn't feel underpowered. It goes like stink. It's goes much faster than it looks, actually. It's a really, really nice bike to ride in terms of its power and its delivery. Brakes, if you have a look at the front, it's got dual discs on the front, and these are Kawasaki calipers. Those discs themselves are 300mm with 4-pot calipers. On the rear, we've got a 250mm single disc. Let's come around and show you that. There we go, 250mm single disc, and a single pot caliper as well, as you can see. Quite a nice chromed exhaust on here. One of the criticisms of this bike is that the original Z1 that this is sort of harping back to had 4 exhausts to either side, and this one obviously hasn't. But there we go. It would have been nice if they'd done that, but they didn't, so there we go. Suspension on the front, 41mm upside down forks. Here we go. One day we'll start calling those normal way round forks, and they've got adjusters on the top there. Can you see that? Let's just come around and show you the adjusters on the top there as well. So that's the front. And on the back, we've got what Kawasaki call horizontal backlink gas charge shock, adjustable for rebound and preload. Can we see that? Let's come around here. There we go. Yeah, so it's horizontally mounted like so. Quite a complicated looking method of, but they've tucked it in there quite well. Nice bit of engineering. Well done, the chaps. Okie dokie. Seat height 835mm, so not particularly low, but because it's nice and narrow at the front there, you can get your feet down relatively well, even if you're a short chap like me, as you saw. And there's that nice sort of ribbing effect on the seat that they've done, so keeps, again, it's all in keeping with its kind of retro ambitions. Weight 215 kilograms wet, that is, so that's pretty light actually, and it certainly feels light, as I say. Tank capacity looks like a massive tank, but actually only holds 17 litres, so middling, not too small but not massive either. Electronics wise, pretty basic bike really. It does have traction control that you can change, and it's got ABS, but it's got no rider modes or anything like that, so back to basics riding, which I like. Price on the road, $9,899 for this black version, or $10,199 for what they call candy tone, which is probably the bike that most people are going to go for, because it's again got that sort of more retro style paint scheme. But I do like it in the black, I have to say. It looks nice in whatever colour, I think, this bike. What else can I tell you about it? It's got an assist and slipper clutch. The Kawasaki say it has dual throttle valves for increased power. I'll take their word for for that, but it feels pretty good to me. And there we go. Oh, you can also get it in a matte green, by the way. That's the other thing. Competitor wise for it, you're looking at things like the Triumph Bonneville, Ducati Scrambler, BMW R9T, that sort of thing, Yamaha XSR 900. All of those are great bikes, so it's a pretty tough segment, but having ridden all of those bikes, I think I can put my neck out and say this so far is my favourite of the retros that I've ridden. Okay, so that's it for the Spec. Let's jump on, do a bit more riding. Yeah, really nice job they've done with this. Could do with a tail tidy, like all new bikes. Look at that, and the hideous size of that number plate, but there we go. But yeah, looks really good. And while we're on the subject of lights, the front light has got, looks to be like an LED light, and looks rather fancy, I have to say. I like these indicators as well. Done a really nice job on the styling of this, and that's that sort of aerodynamic effect I was referring to of the dials there. Just again apes back to the original Z1. Nice. Gosh, this feels so light when you jump on it. I love it. It's very free revving, this as well. Sounds really good. Well, at least to my ears. Okay, nothing coming. Let's go and have a bit of fun. So I must just take this opportunity to thank the guys at Blade Kawasaki here in Abingdon, who once again have made the review possible for me. If you've not been down to the Blade showroom, they've got a massive setup there. They don't just do Kawasaki's, but Ducatis and Hondas, and also Harley Davidson next door as well. If you're out for a ride of a weekend in the Oxfordshire area, if you're not visited, it's worth just popping down for a look. Has to be said, these roads around here though are some of the worst I've come across for bumpiness. Absolutely terrible state of the roads now this time of year. I'm recording this at the back end of March, and obviously we've come through the worst of the winter. We've had a pretty cold winter here in the UK, and it has played havoc with the roads in terms of potholes and stuff. But this seems to be soaking them up pretty well, it has to be said. Now, I mentioned when we did the walk around that there are no riding modes or anything like that on it. As far as electronics are concerned, it's just got traction control and ABS, which are the things that in my mind are essential this day and age. I think people that say that you don't need ABS and traction control aren't quite in the real world. Well, you don't need it, but they help if you've got it, and you certainly can't outbrake ABS, I don't think. I certainly love it. But other than that, it doesn't have riding mode, so it's back to basics, proper biking. This clutch on here, as I say, it's a slip assist clutch, and it's really light in its action. It's lovely. It's a really easy, unintimidating bike to ride, this. And if I had a spare 10 grand in the old TMF bank account, I think it might be going the way of one of these. Really impressed with this bike. Now, it so happens it's a relatively warm day today, 9.5 degrees centigrade, which for this year actually seems like one of the warmer days that I've ridden on, so you don't need them. But lack of heated grips on here is a shame. It would be nice if it had those. That's one of the things that the Triumph Bonneville does have built in, which is a nice touch for a UK bike. But again, minor point in the scheme of things, I guess. Well, I haven't mentioned the switch gear on here. Again, as it's a relatively simple bike, there's not lots of switch gear to talk about, but as you can see, if I can point the camera towards this on the left here, you've got all the usual stuff, and it's proper switches as well. That's nice and tactile. You don't get it's not the PCB stuff that just touches contacts on a printed circuit board. This grey switch here is what cycles through the various trip components here in the middle of the LCD screen. So if I scroll through there, you can see we've got all the usual stuff, temperatures and range and so on. And it's showing at the moment 50.2 miles per gallon for this particular bike. Now this, of course, is the dealer demo, so it no doubt has been thrashed and not ridden in a particularly conservative way, let's say. So 50.2 miles per gallon for a 900cc machine seems okay. Not brilliant, but not bad. Okay, I'm hoping I might lose some of this traffic here. We'll no doubt pick up some more. This display is lovely and clear. I like the way they've done that. It's still got that retro feel with the dials, yet you've got all the extra additional information we've come to expect in the middle there. Really neat. often get accused on my quick first impressions reviews of always liking the bikes and never saying anything bad about them. And that is true, because I contest that there are no such thing as a bad new motorcycle anymore. So if you can find one, let me know and I'll go and ride it. But so far I've not found any bad ones. But of course it is true that you like some bikes more than others, and as you probably can tell from the comments I've made on this bike, this one is one of the better bikes that I've ridden. This is up there in the sort of top 5 of the bikes I've ridden in the last 12 months, I think. It's not stupidly powerful, it doesn't feel like it's going to get you into huge trouble quickly, it's not a sports bike. But for just enjoying the views, riding out on a Sunday around the country lanes, absolutely beautiful. I've read lots of reviews about this bike. I haven't read a single bad review about it. I think this bike is going to sell in spades, and I can completely understand why. Just a really easy bike to get along with. Couple of white vans up ahead, of course. Wouldn't be a TMF review without those. Sadly, this is the blight of the southeast rider traffic all the time, so I can't really open her up, but listen to that. She sounds absolutely beautiful. I love what they've done with it. I don't know if they've paid attention to tuning the engine so it sounds good, but it certainly does. Even with that single standard can, it sounds the biz, this. Could this be an opportunity? Yes, it could. Yeah, bags of fun, this bike. Brilliant. Love it. Alright, so that's pretty much it for my first impressions review of the splendid Kawasaki Z900RS. I really wish that Kawasaki UK would speak to me directly, because it would be lovely to buy one of these for long term and do a proper in-depth review. But there we go. For now, it's just a quick hour's blast on my first impressions. And to summarise, well, you know what I think of it. Lovely bike. It feels lightweight, it feels agile, it rides like the best modern bike that you've ridden. Yet it's got this retro charm about it. It's got the lovely creamy smooth 4-cylinder engine. From a practical point of view, everything just works. The mirrors, brilliant, absolutely rock solid views out of them. The seat's comfortable, the riding position's nice, the brakes work absolutely fine. She's got bags of power, the suspension feels good, and on top of all that, it looks good. And I just can't think of a better way of spending 10 grand, to be honest. And if I had to spare 10 grand, I think I'd be handing over my cash to the boys at Blade right now. Really nice bike. So hope you enjoyed that, and I look forward to speaking to you next time. Until then, this has been the Mr. Flyer. Cheerio. Well, that was splendid. Triumph, I think you've got some work to do.